Get this recording started. What's up, everybody? It's Shane Trades with Trader Link, and today we will be doing a market review. Um, so with that being said, let's get started. This was the analysis from this was the analysis from the morning. I'd actually woken up relatively late today, so obviously the analysis and the vol reversion came out a little bit later, but obviously this is what I sent out. Excuse me. This was the vol reversion levels all marked on the chart, as you can tell already. The next one was this screenshot of the data at 6:56. So I started off by saying I woke up late, so I feel like I missed the move in the morning. I mean, we just dumped hard as balls. Raw does have some interest below 5,300 today, so I think it is possible to go lower. Just need to get below that 5,300 mark and fall through all the that's supposed to be fall through all the negative delta. 5,300 is obvious DGEX as of right now, right? And that's the magnet, right? As we've gone over countless or every single day this week, ABS DGEX is the magnet, and obviously 5,300 is the largest here, right? Following that, this is how the chart was labeled in the morning, right? So let's get that up. Copy image. Image is too large. Whack. Can I open this up? Okay. So obviously very messy. So we're just gonna get rid of that actually, and then go into replay mode. Replay mode look like is about here. The time frame is this. That looks close enough, right? This is a 1 minute, maybe a 1 minute. Yeah, that's a 1 minute. So replay mode. So we were just about right here before that big green candle, right? So this is what it looked like at that time on the chart. So why did I add this short area, right? Once again, the commentary is sort of how I walked everyone through it. This reshort zone, right? Why was it here, or why did I pick this spot specifically for it? And let's go to the coordinates and take a look. 5320, 5325. Why? Because there was a flip right here, right? This is a negative wall, so we could push right through it. But then the next one is the 25 where the flip happens. So once again, that was my reshort zone. Since I missed this, I didn't actually miss it. I just caught it late. But I also only caught it with very light sizing, half size, and on top of that with fucking next Friday puts, right? And I was like, okay, well, and those still went a solid like 40%, which isn't anything crazy, but still overall a decent trade on those. And then, so that's how this zone was initially drawn, right? Just based upon this, I sent the screenshot for it and why I had that, right? And we rejected it perfectly, right? Very clean. If we just keep tapping through this, right? Near perfection. And this one's labeled 5320 split wall. So that's why we took, or that's why I took the entry there. Let me pull out my phone really quick. Get the fill times. Fills. Okay, so I took puts at 646. Arrow marker down 646. Or I entered at 645, and then the other partial fill at 646. So that was the initial entry. And then the first trim was 654 right here. Next trim. Okay, no, I held on to the rest. And then I re-added at 714. So right here on this candle, right? 714 right here. Once again, we got really close to the split wall, so I added. Was also the gap fill. Yeah, so that was a perfect exit, literally at the bottom at the time, 654. And then I sold some more at my last exit was 722 on the second re-entry, 722. So right around here. Let's go through on this candle right here. Why? Once again, we got close to vol reversion S2. So this was pretty much close to the top and close to the bottom. 722 exit. Excuse me once again. And then I took some puts once again when we came back to that reshort zone at 838. So I missed this initial one, but I still held some up until my last exit. Some of them got stopped out in profit here, but the puts for 531 I had. And then the next entry was 838. Where's 838? 838. Once again, a retap into the zone right here. Right. What is a reshort zone? That's just where it's just the same thing. It's a short zone. But since I missed this initial one, this is like post dump reshort. That's why I called it a reshort. So it's like it should have been, it started around right here. I drew it in afterwards, as you can tell, right? For this image on the left side of the screen. And then my last exit was at 955. So relatively long hold. Right. Just kept holding because once again, and I said, where did I say it? Two big wicks into the short zone. Look for shorts here and stops above 25 SPX. Why did we have stops above 25 SPX? Right. Because at that point, that's when we would get over that flip zone or this zone. So for me, if we got over that, I would stop out. And as you can tell, we didn't ever get over that. Right. What made you get it on the first short trade you took? This one? Because it just looked at like 5,300 was the main magnet. I had nothing else. I literally just I woke up late, I looked at it, and then I just bought it. That was and got lucky here. In terms of just fucking sending it to the downside. This first trade, pretty much no technical analysis. Woke up, saw 4,300 or 5,300 and was like, yeah, this shit's gonna fucking dump. On top of that, as you can already tell, I said that raw does have some interest below 5,300 today. Every single day where we've had drops, right, like this shit, there was no interest below 5,300, right, on any of the charts. So for me, it didn't make sense to go all below 5,300 on those days until this day. Even here, I mean, I full exited at 5,300, did not expect to go there. And then once again, when we got below, there still was no interest, right? 5,300 was still the biggest bar yesterday. So then we ended up closing above that or right around there. So that's why I was like, okay, I don't think we get 53, get a close below 5,300. Where did you get 53.25 from today? Right here. This is raw. Let me copy this image so I can draw it out for you guys. Right, you see the green arrow, that's the flip from this 53.20 and flipped positive at this. Oh, that's really ugly. Oh, at 5,300, right? So that's where I got that zone right here and right here. And once again, vol skew, IV skew, right? Easier and shallower to the downside, even all the way below 5,300. Right. How important is the yellow IV line in potential trade setups? Is it a big confluence? It's definitely a good confluence in terms of getting in. Right. As you can tell, this is 5,300, 5,295, 5,290, right? Before the skew starts picking up. And then we'll go over that video because I believe Liquidos updated it. So then we'll see what it looks like as we got below 5,300. Because this is obviously from 7:17 in the morning. So but that's where I got that short zone. So to me, it made it made sense to come lower. But anyways, continuing, that was the entry. The final exit was at 955. Right around, I think, vol reversion 1 or vol reversion 2. Sorry. Yeah, 955. Took it off, took the last one off here. Did I want more? Definitely had a feeling that we'd get below 5,300, but at that point, it was like, I did it once again, right? What I teach you guys is the same thing that I tell myself. Would I rather regret closing out of this position and getting another pump back up on these contracts? Yes. So I'd rather go through the pain of discipline and close it out at vol reversion S2. On top of that, like the other thing is 5,300 objective was already tagged. So for me, I'm not, when it gets tagged in the day, oftentimes there are moments when you don't ever really go back to it. But so that's the other thing that was inside of my head where I was like, okay, let's just get out of the position. You know, we tapped vol reversion, we hit another price target of vol reversion S2, so it just made sense for me to kind of get out of the position. Yeah, S2 and S3 act like resistance when coming back up. Yep, exactly. I mean, you can already tell like these levels were well respected every single day when I post these levels. They always are relatively well respected, right? Right here, right here. And then when we finally got above it, once again, right? Even right here, we got above it, acted like support for a little bit, and then fucking nose bombed down again, retested it again right here. So it's just, it works, right? You don't have to think about levels. You have levels. That's why I love this data where it's like everything gets repopulated for you. You don't have anything to really think about. So yeah, on top of that, price action on a 15-minute, right? That's the other thing that I was noticing. Two big wicks into the short zone. It just made sense to go short there. And then we got the tap. All right, so very simple analysis. Does vol refer it's volatility, sorry, not volume. But yeah, this was a pretty decent trade. It did 2.57 to 3.5 on in the money SPY contracts. And I didn't trade ODTE today. The ones that I had were tomorrow's expiration. So why trade tomorrow's expiration? Because I had a feeling that it was a little more cautious today for me. Why was I more cautious today? Number one, I had woken up late. Usually when I wake up late, I don't have a very good trading day. So when I wake up late, I tend to play it on the safer side of things. That's just a personal thing, right? Obviously people are different, but that's just my personal thing. But going over Liquidos's video, let me pull up YouTube really quick. Let's see. Okay. Move this back over. Can you play through the rest of the day? Yeah. We're gonna watch this for the remainder and kind of go over it and mark it up. All right, so obviously relatively mixed sentiment going into this morning. People probably got bagged because of this, but once again, I always talk about waiting 15 to 20 minutes to 15 to 30 minutes even before making any decisions on the day. So once I saw 50 what is that, 5350 kind of get lower and 52 or 5300 pick up around that 646 time, that's when I was like, okay, I don't think we're gonna push up. Right, look, I don't pay much attention to raw as often. As you can tell, you would have been heavily baited to the upside. So then when I saw this pick up, I was like, okay, we're definitely going to go lower today. And on top of that, usually when you have like big spikes up, where's ES? Something like this. When I see something like this, number one, I'm never looking for longs on a gap up personally. Almost never. Why? Oh, why don't you look for longs? Because to me, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. On top of that, right? We had swept Asia highs. We had swept we had swept Asia highs. Right? This is Asia high. You can even consider this highs, right? We swept the pre-market high by the morning. So for me, I was like, okay, we're first objective is at least going to be this equal lows. And we got tagged right in the morning, and I was like, okay, well, I feel like I missed the move, blah, blah, blah. This is a 10-minute chart. I was like, what the fuck? So those highs got swept, and I was like, okay, I don't think we push up. That's just, once again, comes with time. That's intuition. I don't really have an explanation for that. But the only explanation that I can give is, personally, I'm not looking to get in longs when we are outside of this range. Remember, what have I been saying all fucking week? I am not a breakout trader. I'm not taking longs on the breakout. But why? We could go higher. I rather miss the move. I'm not looking for longs. If you've noticed, we've had strong green tape all fucking week. And every single trade that I took this week and every single trade that I've explained this week has been short. Right? Every single trade I've taken has been a short this week. To me, it just doesn't make sense to go long when you're pretty much near these all-time highs or at all-time highs. Right? That's just a mental block thing for me. I personally will not look for longs when we're at all-time high. Yeah, I'll miss the move, but whatever. To me, I don't care. I'll catch the short move down. Especially when like everyone's like always talking about like, oh, if you've been waiting for the world or the market to crash, then you got bagged. Yeah, I've been waiting for the market to crash, but then again, I have more experience than your average trader where it's like, oh, um, let's just fucking continuously buy out the money in long dated puts. No, like I'm taking it on an intraday basis, right? But that's just me, and I just think like I rather not look for longs, especially when we're at all-time highs. That's just personal preference. Can longs be right? Of course. Both sides can be fucking right. Longs definitely could have paid right here at this time. Someone probably caught this. But personally, I've been playing shorts. We caught this one. We caught pretty much every single short this week. To me, it just makes more sense, like mentally. So once again, not gonna if you went long and you made money, congratulations. Right. The same way if I was looking long and someone made money on shorts, congratulations. Like I could care less. But so long as everyone made money, works for me. But yeah, mentally, I'm not looking for longs pretty much, like especially if we broke out. Right. And the heavy thing is if you look at every other ticker in the morning, it all dumped, right? Apple, Microsoft, AMD, Google, Amazon, right? Everything dumped off the morning, right? The only thing that didn't dump, Nvidia, right? Nvidia was like holding the market up. So when it finally gave out, market shit the bed hard because that was the only thing that was holding it up. Right. So once again, these are the other things that I pay attention to. You'll see me like back then on stream, if you go watch some of the old streams, I'll literally just sit here, type through all of these tickers, being like, okay, which one's going, which one's not moving, Amazon, Tesla, Apple, okay, Microsoft. It'll just be like quick glances to see which ones are moving and which one's leading the market. Right. But yeah, today was a very solid. Oh, where'd it go? Today was an overall solid day. So let's continue watching this. We dumped and we got below S3. Would you expect? It's hard for me to tell you. Me personally, like I would just be using S3 as like your final, catch up or price target for the day. Let's say you're in vol version R1 or at R2, you get in short. Like S3 oftentimes will be the extended price target. I like taking trims at S1, S2. S3 will probably be the full exit. Right. That's just how once again, right? I don't know enough about it to be like yeah, when we finally got below it, it definitely acted like resistance right here, right? You can tell. Vol reversion S3 is what he's talking about, Josh. It changes. So the thing is with the data or with running these vol reversion levels, it depends. One of the parts of the calculation is that it depends on what spot price you run it at, right? So when I ran it late this morning versus if I ran it at the open, they would be different. You don't need Geo to answer that one. I just answered it for you. It depends on when you run it, right? It takes the current spot price of what SPX is, and it'll give you the vol reversion. So when I ran it later, this is what came out. Obviously, I didn't run it at the open. That's because, well, I was asleep still. But yeah, so that it just depends. Why you would not enter long on S1 based on the data? Because I was already short, right? I had short levels right here. So instead of entering long, notice what I did was I trimmed at S1, S2, right? Right. So if I have a short bias, I'm using S1, S2 as trims. Right. My bias in the day doesn't come from the vol reversion levels. These levels are levels for me to use in terms of trims and whatnot. Where would you put your stop loss? My stop loss, okay, so this was my stop loss. I said it very, very clearly. Two big wicks into the short zone, could look for shorts here and stops above 53.25 SPX. That was where exactly I had my stop loss. So if we had like a 5-minute close over 53.25, I would have stopped out. Once again, 15-minute had very nice wicks. To piggyback off of Rafael's questions, when or under what conditions plus minus guy flip do you see S3 as a buy the dip opportunity? If there's a Gex flip level there, right? Instead of, so it looks something like this. Instead of a short zone, let's say you missed whatever move happened to the downside and there's a Gex flip like right here. It's labeled here. Instead of, I just labeled it Gex flip. I could have labeled it long zone. Right. Longs paid. Someone said, "Oh, can I go long at 5,300?" I was like, "Yeah, but I would treat it as a scalp." Take it off at S2, take it off at S3 or S1, sorry. Total gamma was my best guy for what would happen today when we had dropped 30 points from the open. Total gamma was still positive at 30 days. Yeah, I saw you type that in chat in the main trade channel. Any tips on when to bail? Okay, let's go over this first. Right. Let's go over when we got to 5,300 later on. What did the data look like? First tap of 5,300. Let's go there first. Okay, first tap of 5,300. This is what it looks like. Let's see. Wait, data hasn't updated yet. So let's get the data to refresh. Here we go. Usually these first taps of these walls, like these main walls, don't really show or you don't really break right through it, if that makes sense. Oh my goodness, there's so many messages today. I think it's because it was such a big movement day. But yeah, usually these first taps you don't break right through. So then that's why. Think about it like this. It's like it's the first time you tapped 5,300 on the day. I'm sure there's resting orders at that price. Thank you. Yeah, I even said right here, we're at ABS DGEX 5,300. This would be an area to trim at 757. So, and then if you go back to 757, literally on that initial tap. Why did I say that? It just, once again, it's think about like auction theory. The first offer never goes. Someone else is always looking to bid it back up or bid the price higher on the first. Think about it, right? Think about it like that. Like, let's say I'm auctioning an item. The first person that throws out a bid usually gets outbidded, right? So same thing. The first tap of this never usually holds below or never usually goes lower. It'll always get outbid. If you look at DDI, we had a magnet to the largest put level and pinned at 52.65. Okay, before I lose track of my mind, let's keep watching this and see what happens, right? So we see what the data looks like, and once again, auction theory overall in general kind of explains why it didn't break through initially. So the next one I'm looking out for is when we got below 5,300. What did the data look like? Okay, right here. As we're going lower, we're at 52.85. Watch this module right here. Watch what happens to 5,300. As we continue to push lower. Do you see this main difference right here? 5,300 gets smaller than 5,270. That's what you always want to watch out for, right? That's when you hear me saying all the time, okay, watch out for that word solvent, right? Google the definition if you don't know what that means. Solvent means it doesn't stay, it dissipates, etc., etc., something along the lines of that, right? So that's why I say You see that 5,300 level is now solvent. So the odds that we go back up to 5,300 are very low. We're also 20 points away from it now. And we have a bigger pickup below. This is exactly what I mean by as you push lower, you want to see another level pickup and you want to see the previous level that broke become solvent. Why? Because that means dealers are closing out of that position. They don't care for the price to go up to that point anymore. They closed the positions already. Right? Other thing to pay attention to. Look at what's picking up. 5250. And once again, other thing to take note of, 5270 is a negative Gex level. What is negative exposure? What can it act like? Type it in the damn chat. Right? It's not support. Yes, you may see some bids there, but it's not meant to act like a support. Right? Acceleration. Look what happens. We get a bounce around that 70 area, but once again, it's not meant to act like a support level. And we start bidding through 70, right? And remember what I talked about, or remember what I showed you, right? On the chart, what does negative Gex look like? Oh, God. That's not what I wanted to do. We have a negative Gex level. Remember what I drew it out? If you don't remember, go back and take a look. Right? Text neg Gex. Remember what I drew the path? It looks something like this. It went through it, kind of chopped around. Remember, I didn't show that it bounced here. I showed that it went through, it kind of chops around that area, right? Because it doesn't act like support or resistance the same way positive does. It's not meant to. It acts like an accelerant. So take a look here. Let's draw a line at 70, right? This is around 70. Look what happens. We kind of just go right through it. And then we come right back. And then we go right through it again, right? So once again, as we go through it and we kind of chop around, see? It just goes right through. It doesn't respect 70 like a support or a resistance level, right? And look, all the rest of this is negative gamma. Look at it. There's barely any positive. But once again, pay attention to this 5250. Where are we sitting at? 60? Did we ever get lower? No, right? Okay, no, we didn't. Okay. But are you guys picking up on what I mean by whether or not levels are solvent? Negative Gex acts like accelerants, right? This is exactly what I mean. It kind of just goes, it doesn't respect that level as the same way it would if it was positive. It just goes right through, up, whether you're going through the downside or going through the upside. It just goes right through that garbage level is like what I usually call them because they're not respected. And this is a perfect example of it, right? 70 did not get respected whatsoever. It just went right through every single time. I don't know if that's 70 exactly. Actually, I can just look at it here. Hold on. $52.70. Right? Kind of just goes through these levels very easily. Goes right through. Goes right through. Doesn't respect it. Goes right through again. You get a candle close over. Oh, maybe we'll go long. No, baited. Goes right through. Goes right through. Same shit. 53. Oh, yes. 53.30 right here. So for those who don't know, this is DDOI, or as we call it, dealer directional open interest. Why is it important? So I guess to go over, obviously there's people in here that know what it is, and there's newer people from ZM's Discord that have no idea what this is. This is what we calculated as open interest. Because for those who don't know, once again, open interest is taken at it's populated this way. They take the end of days open interest, and then they populate. Okay, hold on. Let me math it out. So this is Tuesday. This is Monday, right? It takes the end of Monday's close of open interest and populates the options chain on Tuesday with the open interest. And then you just get a big old happy wiener. But yeah, so it's not live open interest. But with DDOI, what separates it is with DDOI, you can tell whether or not the contracts are bought or sold, right? Green is calls, right? Red is puts. Anything below this zero or horizontal line is green. Is sold, not green. Is sold, right? So since it's sold and it's sold calls, since it's green and it's below the horizontal, that means it is sold calls, right? So what do sold calls mean? 53, 30 sold calls, right? What sold calls entail is a negative delta, right? Negative delta, neg delta, right? So when you have negative delta in sold call position, sold calls are bearish. Bearish. Think about it like this. Bought calls carry positive delta. Bought puts carry negative delta. Bought calls are bullish and they carry positive delta. Anything with a negative delta can be seen inherently as a more bearish position, right? If you sell a 5330 call, how do you rake in the most premium? You get a close below 5330. Anything above, you're fucked, right? Why? It's the same thing because you don't want to get exercised on the position. But with SPX, there is no cap. There is no exercise. It's cash. Meaning, let's say they sold those 5330 calls for 5.0, right? At the end of the day, let's say market closed, so 5.0. Market that would mean they need sold calls like selling covered calls, meaning you would sell covered calls if bearish. Correct? Correct. Sorry, I had to think about that. Yeah, sold calls are literally like is the exact same thing as selling covered calls, right? But with SPX, you can't have shares, so you just get premium. It's pretty much like a credit spread without without like the leverage. But yeah, it's literally selling covered calls. So sold calls is a bearish position, right? So meaning dealers, you can already tell just by looking at that, dealers want this to stay below 30 today, right? We opened at what, 40? So then when we got below 30, we never came back up. So long as you close below 53.30, you rake in the full premium. So that's exactly that's how we basically utilize DDOI. Like, oh, where do dealers want this to close below, right? Especially if you see sold call positions, right? That's the biggest thing is like if you have sold puts, that level oftentimes will act like support. Anyone who buys them, right? Anyone who buys those contracts, they're writing those contracts. But yeah, does that kind of make sense? So 53.30 sold calls. Yeah, the big old wiener to the downside today. But I hope the overall overview is like making sense. You guys are kind of seeing how I populate my charts. DDOI is different. It calculates it based upon our own. Like I can't give away how we calculate it, but just know there's no other. It's calculated through what's called a Black-Scholes model. If you want to dig into a Black-Scholes model, you can go for it. Me personally, I won't even dig through it. I haven't dug through it. That's a geo thing. So on the other side, if you see puts being sold under the line and you're bearish on the day, you get out, right? It's not that you have to get out, right? Because once again, remember what I said. It doesn't, you can make money on both ways, even if your bias is the opposite, right? It's just if data points to, okay, there's sold puts there, that level is likely to act like support. What are the top 5 indicators when you look at to trade a call or put? That's solely dependent on like I don't really use indicators. I have VWAP here. That's really about it. But like I strictly pride myself on the fact that I utilize data. Yeah, with the snapshot being at the end of the day. I don't know what ADD is. Is that like a ticker? What is this? ADD. Advanced decline. No. Never look at it personally. I stick to the dashboard. And once again, everyone knows post OPEX week, Gamma Chad week is my favorite week. Why? Because the TA is so simple. You don't need to take into account Vana. You don't need to take into account Charm. It's just Gamma is so strong. So represents the ratio of shares that are up from the open versus down from the open. Interesting. Actually, I'll have to look into that. That does pique my curiosity. Yes, there will be Vana classes starting next week. Why? Because what's the point in teaching Vana on a day like today when it doesn't fucking matter? Or like on a week where it doesn't matter. So yes, we'll be going over Charm next week. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at ADD with the 21. Do you have a VWAP? How do you use it to buy calls or puts? Honestly, I use it for trims. I don't really enter based upon VWAP. Like if we get to a VWAP, I'll likely take some of my position off. That's really about it though. That's just personal preference. Like here, I'm entering shorts and we're above VWAP, right? Why I didn't take any off here. Why? Once again, I just believe my interpretation of the data is more useful than a line on a chart or an indicator on the chart per se. Once again, that's just I mean, right here we kind of got close to VWAP, I guess. You can take that and be like call it what you want. You could say I base it off VWAP, but at the end of the day, not really. That's just once again, we got really close to my short zone. Why do you have that reshort zone? I sent it out in the you can go back and trade TL analysis and take a look. I perfectly labeled it out there. It was using this image. 20 first 25 walls is positive. So that's why I was like, okay, if there's and stops were put above 25. So now that I look at it, I thought today was like, oh, I nailed that shit. I did, but at the same time, like I didn't catch anything below 5,300, which is kind of gay. Sorry. Sorry, like I don't hate gay people. I just I love them. I love you. Love you all. Interesting. I'll have to watch that tomorrow. Guys, also tomorrow, keep in mind something about tomorrow. Monday is a holiday. The odds that we have good volume tomorrow, very, very slim. Something to take into account. So if you made money this week, fucking you could take Friday off or size light on going into tomorrow if you're taking any trades. That's just my suggestion. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's my take.
The days before holidays, holiday weekends especially, is ass.
I lost money because I took calls. I thought it was a double bottom. All right. Similar to those candlestick patterns that I was shitting on yesterday. Don't ever believe in a double bottom. Don't ever believe in a fucking double top. Like I clowned on bull flags yesterday. I'm about to clown on fucking double bottoms today. I don't give a fuck about double bottoms. I don't give a fuck about double tops. Like I was literally, I don't know if you were here yesterday, but I was literally saying to people, like, if you're in a bull flag, I'm like, I hope you get rugged. Like, if you're taking a call based on a bull flag, rugged. If you're taking a call based on a fucking bear flag, rugged. If you're taking a position strictly based off of a double bottom, I'm sorry, but you did get literally rugged today. I would never solely base a trade off of any fucking pattern on a candlestick. Anyone who tells you to keep doing that, they're not profitable. I can guarantee you. What else should I have looked at? I don't know. Are you from Zach Morris's Discord or Twitter? Zach, okay. Do you have access to the Trader Link channel? Because all the stuff that I put in is there. I'm assuming you do. Just pay attention to what I'm typing out in there. Like I mean, if you scroll up, we've nailed every single day of the week. specifically, once again, this is my favorite week because shit is the easiest. Zach is gay. No, I love Zach Morris, bro. That guy's a G. Do you not see the channel? I mean, you obviously did because you saw. I don't give out alerts, by the way. I don't send out alerts. I just send out analysis. I leave it to you to take what I say into account. Right. Once again, I'm a firm believer in your own analysis is going to be the best analysis. Right. Why? Every time I've listened to somebody else, clapped. Omega shit on. Right. Do not do you see my work on SMT on the thread today? Yes, I did. Thank you, Matt. I've been wanting to do an analysis channel, but my problem is like I don't want it to be a signals channel, right? I don't want people to think like, oh, they're doing signals. That's not the point. I'd rather never have to do signals. I posted it here. This one, TraderLink data for Zach's Discord. If you sub to TraderLink, you'll see everything like that on the channel. Like I'm not saying go ahead and sub to TraderLink if you want to, great. If you don't want to, great. I don't care. Right? It's just up to you. If you want to see the data for yourself, then obviously you have to sub. That's just what it is. Yep. Bree's right. See, Bree subbed to TraderLink. Now she has access to data. She sees it all. She sees everything the same way that I see it. Thank you, Rombo. Trying my best, man. Yes, hopefully. So Geo just told me that he sent out the coding to Mitchell to try to get it moved into production. So hopefully within a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so. But once again, I send it out in the morning. But obviously it's just better if we can get it to populate on the dashboard. So Strut, if you sub to the data, are there tutorials on how to learn / interpret it? This is the tutorial. Yeah, Jade is right, but also on our YouTube channel, right? How do I check out our YouTube channel? We have old recorded classes. My suggestion is go through pretty much. I suggest starting with gamma exposure basics class 1, then dive deeper into gamma exposure class 2. And then the effects of Vana exposure class 3, Vana review and DDOI class 4. Those are like the jump start into those. How do you determine plus minus gex flip each day? If not, can it be included with? So it's obviously something like this. I always say that gex flip is messier on de-adjusted, which is very true, but it was just messy overall today, right? If you look at this from the morning that I posted, right? This is a messy chart. You have multiple gex flips right here. You have one random positive bar right here, right at 5,300. So gex flip, I would determine like in this area. Yeah, it's normally more obvious than it is today. For support and resistance, can you distinguish between using positive gex bars versus gex flip versus vol reversion? I kind of use them all in conjunction. My greatest tip is like if you have a gex level. Sorry, let me actually go back down. If you have like a gex level with a vol reversion, then like it's a great area to go long or short, right? So like 53.25 was that first positive flip. Yeah, I usually like to see things line up, right? Why? Because you have more confluence, right? So this lined up today, right? You had gex flip as the short zone. On top of that, I use other strategies, obviously, right? I like fair value gaps as confluence, but not as entries, right? If I already have an entry spot, then I will watch like fair value gaps as an entry, right? I believe right here. Yeah. So like in the AM, you already had a giant hourly fair value gap. Where's my fucking rectangle? Right. You had a giant hourly fair value gap. So let's take a look at that. So once again, right, a bonus confluence. Same exact 15-minute right around that 8:45 tapped into the fair value gap. right? Even on a 15-minute, you have this fair value gap. Right. So I don't use them as entries. I use them more as confluence. So like things. Yeah, Matt is 100% right. It takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. It just takes hours and hours of looking at the data mixed with the chart, mixed with however you already trade, right? The biggest thing that I suggest to people is like, look, don't use the data strictly, add it onto your arsenal, right? My arsenal originally was a volume profile and fib retracements, right? Then I added the fair value gaps, inverse fair value gaps and whatnot, right? Whatever. But it shouldn't be strictly just like, oh, I'm going to use just strictly the data. You can, but more confluence, the better, right? So before I started using data, I always use volume profile and fibs, right? Then I added the data into it, right? If we have a short GP on the fib and it lines up with a GEX level plus a low volume node, that's 3 confluences. That makes me think, okay, we have a high probability of going down. I don't know. I guess you could consider, yeah, I look at fair value gaps, but once again, it's like if it lines up with some like a short level on the data, great. I'm not going to strictly take a trade off of like a fair value gap ever. That's just me. I don't think taking it off one confluence is good enough. So yeah, that's just once again, right? My biggest suggestion is like always utilize other confluences, not just the data. Just add this into your arsenal. But at the same time, I can't just sit here and say that when you look at the data, it doesn't change the way you view the rest of the market. Like all the other things that you used to use become like negligible in comparison to the data. Is there a dash module that summarizes live flow? Not as of right now. You can kind of filter everything. My filter suggestions are always going to be this. Volume greater than OI, mark it as true. Add another filter, out the money, mark it as true. That's going to always be my suggestion. And then click, and then you can type in all, and then you'll get pretty much all the ones that fit the criteria. Criteria. This is supposed to be out the money. There we go. This is always going to be my suggestion for filters. Like there's tons of flow that comes in, right? You have NVIDIA, STNG. When you have it set to all, try looking at yesterday's high, low, and close on your SPX. Yeah, yesterday's close was a support spot. Yesterday's high was the same rejection, practically the same rejection zone. Low got tagged as a target. Yeah, I mean, once again, right? Highs and lows. Previous highs and lows are always good. And I want to make clear, previous highs and lows, in my opinion, that have never been tapped on ES are very good liquidity areas. 50% retracement into the FEG usually offers fair chance of a stop just above. Yeah, also very true. The thing is with like 50% retraces on like fair value gaps, I rather just do a 50 like the golden pocket shorts. Right. If you look at ES today. What did I do? There we go. Pretty much tap the 50% retrace without having to need a fair value gap. It's nice. Yeah, I know. I wish you could share screenshots on Zoom too. But then you'd have like idiots posting fucking random shit or shitty images or fucking dick pics. Look, I don't think everyone wants to see a dick on a Zoom chat. No, you're definitely not an idiot, Rombo. You've been doing this a long time, man. You know what you're doing. Also, like for anyone who's like into ICT shit, like this is the fucking picture perfect definition of like accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Yeah, drawing a dick's fine. For the data, no, you shouldn't need to. For like if you have SPX selected, you shouldn't need to. Also, like these links or these colors,
it links the charts together. So like if I change one, so let's change the red one that I have all linked to red to SPY, it'll change all the ones to SPY. So you don't have to one by one go in and do it. Later, Jay. Thank you for joining. Yeah, for like ODTE is default, right? For SPX and SPY and QQQ. If you're looking at NVIDIA, then you need to go in and select the dates, which is every Friday. Yeah. Can we expect the bounce tomorrow since the dip was huge? Look, I'm bearish as fuck. Number one, I want the world to end, like the economy to die, so I can buy cars at a fucking steal of a price. I've been waiting for that. That's just my personal thing, like my personal vendetta. Like I want cars, so I want the world to fucking shit the bed so I can get better cars for the low. But I don't know if we get a dip. It's kind of just dependent, right? We take each day, day by day. Market outlooks are great. Porsche Carrera GT next, no, that's way too out of my budget. And look, if I'm gonna get a fucking car over $1 million, I'm gonna wait to get a Pagani. But keep in mind, like I always suggest you take it day by day, guys.
Take it day by day. The data changes every single day. It changes within a 10-second interval. So it's always ever changing, right? Planning and everything can be great, but the whole point of trading is to be able to react and react well. So, and on top of that, adapt to any situation that you're given to, right? So giving a market outlook could essentially fuck you up. Right. Outlooks are great. Yeah. This is my outlook. Fucking send SPX to 0. I want the world to end. I'd love to see this shit die off. Why? Also puts make more money to the downside than calls will to the upside. Oh, we have consumer sentiment tomorrow. Oh, at 7 a.m.
Last consumer sentiment report was the first bad one in like 3 of them in a row. So glad to see that. And then guess what? Right after, we still fucking full sent it to the upside, made a new all-time high. Fuck the market. See, that's what I mean. Macro doesn't make any sense. That's why you take it day by day. All right, guys. I'm fine. Yeah, I love down moves personally. I've always liked down moves better. But anyways, we've been on for 55 minutes. We had a good review session. Hopefully things are starting to click for some of you new joiners. And if it isn't, once again, just keep tuning in. Rewatch those videos on YouTube. Always suggest 2x speed because I don't have the same patience. But yeah. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the class. If you aren't subbed to TraderLink, I do plan on doing a giveaway tomorrow. I'm gonna give away 5 free weekly trials. So I will be posting that somewhere on Twitter. So if you're the first person to get it, congratulations. But I know that there's been a lot of requests for giveaways. So I will be doing 5 free weekly trial giveaways on tomorrow. So that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. And as always, keep moving forward. Thank you guys. I will see you tomorrow.